folks, this is Wear and Tear, yet another YouTube outdoor and gear review channel. Today I'm coming at you with my review of the Cold Steel Engage in S35VN. Shout out to Mr. Cold Steel, Mr. Jimmy Slash himself, who sent me the Cold Steel Engage from the US as a gift. This is really an awesome gift. I thank you so much for this knife. Check out his channel. He is Mr. Cold Steel. He knows everything about all the cold steels. He has them all. And he even designed his own cold steel performance chopper. So he really knows what he's talking about. He really brought me into the hobby of collecting and using cold steels. So thank you for that, Mr. Jimmy Slash. Now the Cold Steel Engage, I've used it a lot in the last few months. I waited for my review because I didn't want to just do a desk review. I actually wanted to gather a lot of experience with the knife, EDC it, to come to a conclusion about it, because it is a very expensive knife that probably most of us just don't buy to collect, because if you buy it, you make a conscious decision. It's a $200 knife or something like that. Here, even more ridiculous here in Austria. I mean, it has great value, don't get me wrong, but it's still a hefty investment. So this is the original version in S35VN. So great steel, G10 handles, and so on. You probably know everything if you look for videos about it, because it's all over the internet. It's very famous now. So how does it perform on a realistic basis, on a daily basis? Great EDC performance. It has a good size. You can quickly deploy it, quickly close it. It drop shots just like that. It's just beautiful to handle. It's really a source of much fidgeted joy on a day-to-day basis. It really is great in the pocket. Like that, doesn't feel too heavy or something like that. It's just awesome. Fits regular pockets. They have finally done something about the pocket clip, make it a little bit more EDCable. Now someone might also say they watered it down, right? I have a Recon 1 here with the old clip and those G10 handle scales that you can use as a file basically. So those two knives, this knife represents one of the extremes. It is a survival and rescue knife. And that's one of the more ordinary offerings for cold steel. It features the well-proven, time-proven triad lock. It has great ergos, it's very light for the size, but you won't EDC it unless you work on a farm or in constant outdoor survival situations, because although it is easy to carry, it has that stiff pocket clip and so, but it's okay, you know. But deploying it is a little bit slow. You feel like a senior citizen basically when you deploy it. When you close it, well, there are many ways to close it, but there's not a single way that looks as cool as this one, right? So the whole deployment factor is important when it comes to EDC. It's just the way it is. You want to deploy it quickly, you want to feel some joy, you want to get that dopamine hit when you deploy it. So absolutely, the Cold Steel Engage covers that. The Cold Steel Engage is also suitable as a bushcraft knife. Very sharp edge here, up here on the spine for your fire steel. The overall ergonomics, the blade shape, that is much more bushcrafty than, for example, the extreme survival tactical Recon 1. Yeah? And, well, it also works as a survival knife because it is extremely resilient, extremely stable, extremely safe to handle. You don't go into the blade or so. It's really grippy, it's really nice. It's just not as capable as a survival knife as, for example, a Recon 1. It's a hybrid, okay? It's a jack of all trades. It does everything. It performs great as an EDC knife, which is, and it causes some joy as an EDC knife, which is usually cold steel's weak spot. The Engage is one of the first knives that fully covers that base. And yeah, as a bushcraft knife, perfect. As a survival knife, still okay. So yeah, if I go outdoors, if I go kayaking, if I expose myself to nature, I would take the Recon 1. No question about that. I wouldn't take the Engage. Also, this is the Recon 1 in Aus 8. It's much cheaper to replace than an Engage in case I lose it. but neither of those two knives will break. Now the Engage, the Atlas lock, that's the new lock basically. So very simple about that lock. You have to remember that basically the top load that this lock can withstand is in the same ballpark as the Triad lock. Maybe even a little bit higher according to Cold Steel's testing. But when it comes to permanent hits, or permanent, wear and tear, then the Triad lock is a little bit more complex. It might come a little bit loose, at least in this iteration, It's nothing that can't be fixed here at the pivot. It shouldn't get real damage, but it has been noted by a few YouTubers that it doesn't withstand regular stress as well as Triad lock. I cannot confirm that in my testing. My hitting, I cannot even tell the difference, But also with the Triad lock, not all iterations of the Triad lock were of the same quality. So you can have a little bit of a lock problem even with Cold Steel knives. But what is most important with locks is that they do not collapse on you. And in this case, the Triad lock is just as safe as the ordinary, the Atlas lock is just as safe as a Triad lock. I even like a little bit more about the Triad lock that you have to push this back for the blade to close. And sometimes in some extreme positions, like with a Triad lock, you maybe grip it somehow and you get in there and the blade comes a little bit loose because with your grip position, you push in the Triad lock a little bit. That doesn't happen obviously with the Atlas lock. You can push around as much as you want. You would have to actually consciously pull back, which is a very unlikely movement in any kind of stress situation. So the Atlas lock is nothing to sneeze at. It's probably, it's going to see many iterations on many knives in the future, I'm sure. There's already a whole lot of new Engages coming out, Cold Steel Engage, in different sizes, think different blade shapes, and with lower grade steels, so they're more budget friendly. But if you can get a knife with Atlas lock, that is absolutely something to adore. It's beautiful for EDC and it still can do everything else on top of it, just like the Triad lock. It's just as reliable. So yeah, I don't want to tell you anything about the weight or something like that. A few more words about the ergonomics of this knife. I wear large gloves, sometimes X-large gloves, so I have a little bit bigger hands perhaps. To me, the handle, it constrains my hand a little bit. Not without gloves, but with gloves it would constrain my hands a little bit more. I'm not 100% happy with the handle. For me, this pommel here is a little bit too prominent. Good news is the new iterations of the Engage, the budget versions, they seem to do without this a little bit. So, but it's not bad. It still has good ergos. It just could be better for my hands. If you have hands, however, that are a little bit more petite than mine, you're probably gonna love it even more. So this is the Cold Steel Engage. Thank you again, Mr. Jimmy Slash. I'm very happy with this knife. For me, it covers all the bases, and it's just a great knife that I will treat with respect and dignity, knowing it can take everything that I throw at it in case I ever need to. This was Wear and Tear. Like and subscribe. Over and out. Bye-bye.